Welcome to the Bachson Academy Learning Channel. Today, we are going to learn about a brief history of the American holiday Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is one of America's most popular holidays, and many people look forward to it every year. Thanksgiving is a time to gather together with family and friends and remember what we are all thankful for in our lives. In 1863, President Abraham Lincoln declared Thanksgiving a federal holiday. That means that Thanksgiving is celebrated on the same day across the country. Thanksgiving is always celebrated on the fourth Thursday in November. Let's take a look at the history of the American continent. Before Europeans and travelers from other countries started coming to America, the American continent was the home of the Native Americans, the indigenous people who had lived here for thousands of years before the age of exploration. Over many years, these indigenous people spread all over the North American, Central American, and South American continents. There are many different stories and theories about which countries' explorers first arrived in America. Christopher Columbus arrived in what is now called the Bahamas in 1492, but there is a lot of evidence that shows other explorers had arrived to America before him. For the next 130 years, many explorers from Europe and other parts of the world started to travel to the American continent, and in 1607, the first European settlement, also called a colony, named Jamestown, was established in what is today Virginia. The Pilgrims. In 1620, another group of Europeans decided to travel to North America. Most of these people were leaving their homes in Europe because of religious persecution. They did not have freedom to practice their religion. Some others in this group were in search of a new life or were interested in the opportunities they would have in America, the New World. Collectively, we call this group of travelers the Pilgrims. The Pilgrims started their journey to the New World in July 1620. They traveled across the Atlantic Ocean on a ship called the Mayflower. Their journey was not easy, and they had some problems during their trip. The Mayflower was a small ship for such a large distance, and there were 102 passengers on board. After 65 days of being at sea, the Pilgrims finally saw land in November 1620. This land is today Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Before the Pilgrims left the Mayflower, they wrote the Mayflower Compact, a contract that would act as the Constitution and an outline for the government in their new settlement. During the Pilgrims' journey across the Atlantic Ocean, many of them became sick due to living in close quarters with each other. After they landed, they had to continue living on the Mayflower until houses were built. The first building was a meeting house, but it was used as a hospital because so many of the Pilgrims were sick and dying. By March of 1621, of the 102 passengers, 55 had died from illness, cold, and lack of food or medicine. Half of the Pilgrim's crew had also died. The Pilgrims were in a new world, and everything was new to them, including the weather, land, vegetation, and animals. The Native American tribe in this part of the continent was the Wampanoag tribe. Once they were sure that the Pilgrims would not hurt them, their chief, Massasoit, had his people bring food to the Pilgrims and help them with building their colony. Squanto was another Native American who helped the Pilgrims learn how to live in this new world. Squanto spoke and understood English because he had been a slave in Europe before buying his freedom and returning home. He was an interpreter between the Native Americans and the Pilgrims, and he taught the Pilgrims how to fish, plant corn, and other useful skills. Thanks to the help from Massasoit, Squanto, and the Wampanoags, the Pilgrims were able to stay in their settlement, called Plymouth Colony, and learned how to live there. If they had not had this help from Massasoit and the Native Americans, they would not have survived their first year in the New World. In March of 1621, the Pilgrims and the Wampanoag tribe signed a peace treaty which lasted for 50 years. After a successful harvest, the Pilgrims and Native Americans celebrated a feast together in the fall of 1621. This was the first Thanksgiving. Plymouth Plantation. Today, people can visit Plymouth Plantation, a living history museum located in Plymouth, Massachusetts. Plymouth Plantation is designed to reflect what life was like for the Pilgrims and Wampanoags in the 1600s. The people who work at this museum wear the proper clothing, speak the proper language, and teach the visitors what daily life was like at this time in American history. Today, we celebrate Thanksgiving to remember what we are all thankful for in our lives. We come together with family and friends and enjoy delicious food such as turkey, mashed potatoes, vegetables, corn, cranberry sauce, stuffing, apple pie, and many more. Thanksgiving is a very important and meaningful part of American history. This video was just a brief history of the holiday. We recommend taking the time to learn more about it. Thank you for watching and see you next time.